I'd like to call the meeting of the corporate authorities of the Village of Campton Hills. It's April 21st, 2026, 7 o'clock, actually 6:35 p.m. Roll call, please.
Trustee Benetti?
Here.
Trustee Boatner?
Here.
Trustee Burson is absent, but will be remote. Trustee Hafsenberger?
Here.
Trustee Millet is absent. Trustee Muir?
Here.
President Wonicky?
Present. I'd like to bring Janet Burson in with a remote.
So you'd be asking for a motion to allow trustee Burson to participate remotely.
Okay. I look for a motion to let Janet Burson come into our meeting remotely.
Make a motion? I'll
Who is that, Nick? And second by Frank. Roll call.
I have discussion real quick.
Oh, I'm
I have
sorry, discussion.
So what I'm going to say is, while I appreciate the request and I understand that we all would like to participate remotely, we are bound by our code, which has very specific reasons when you can participate remotely. And our code mirrors the Illinois statute, and it says that remote participation is intended for certain circumstances such as employment obligations, family emergencies, or unexpected situations, not discretionary travel or personal business activities. The key language in our statute is prevented from physically attending. That does not include a voluntarily scheduled vacation where you happen to be doing also business. But in the meantime, I would like to know which exception she is claiming she is participating under.
Okay.
Business travel.
Well,
Janet Burson.
we'd like to hear her respond.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, she's having a hard time making the connection.
And put your mic on, too.
Okay, now she's here.
The question, Janet, was what is the conflict you have about being remote tonight? Business travel or et cetera, you need to state it. Yeah. We're looking for you to state your reason for remote.
Oh, but we are here on doing some real estate business.
I didn't hear that, I'm sorry.
Real estate business, and
I didn't hear it either.
you said real
And
estate.
Yeah, what, you know,
I'm sorry, Janet, you came in broken. You state it again.
we are here doing for real estate business.
Okay, so
Er,
there's only like 5 reasons that you can participate: personal illness or disability, employment purposes or the business of the village, a family or other emergency, unexpected childcare or obligations, active military duty, and then the key language is prevented from physically attending. So it would have to be, if it is a personal business, it would have to be something where you could not change it or pick a different date. Voluntarily picking the dates to be out of the country does not satisfy that language. It would have to be something like you work for a company and they're having an annual meeting and you have no choice on the matter. You don't have a choice on what those dates are. But this was you picked your own vacation and you're doing some personal business on the side. There's no exception for that.
and, you know, I disagree completely with your interpretation, Therese, but I usually do.
Okay, I guess you just do a roll call.
Yeah, that was it. Okay, roll call.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee, does Janet vote?
No.
No, okay. Trustee Hafsenberger?
Nay.
Trustee Millet?
The
Bringing
motion is
Janet in.
to let Janet participate remotely. Therese raised objection.
Well, let me, as long as Mike is going to vote, I'm going to just take another quick opportunity to tell him that the actual language of the statute says you have to be prevented from physically attending. So it's not just travel where you pick the dates and you happen to be doing business there. And so I'm saying that this is not, I don't believe that this falls under one of the exceptions. She chose the travel dates. She knew we have budgetary issues every April. And doing personal business does not qualify. There is no exception for personal business. It has to be something, for example, like if there was an annual meeting that you can't pick a date. The company says we're all going on an annual meeting. And the reason I'm saying this is, I think it's, sometimes this rule has been a little bit unfairly applied across this board. And so I think it's time that we read the statute, read the code, and apply it the right way.
Janet said she had real estate business and business overseas, you know.
Counsel, who's the determination of if it's legit? Or, not, that's not the right term. Who's the determining factor on how the statute's applied?
So the trustee or any board member that makes the request has the right to indicate the exception under which they are seeking to participate remotely. It's the subject or the motion that is then made by a separate board member, which requires a second that you have here. It's debatable, so you can ask follow-up questions of the board member that's not able to appear. Ultimately, it's a determination of the board whether or not they would like to allow the board member to participate or not participate. It wouldn't be up to the attorney unless there were contrary evidence. You know, if someone was making the claim that they were ill and couldn't be prevented, and we saw them standing outside on the street, or you know, if they said that they were out of town on business and you know we just saw them at the McDonald's across the street, that would be contrary evidence. So in this case, it's up to the board whether or not you'd like to allow the trustee to participate.
Can I add something real quick?
Go ahead.
Also, it's something that can be reviewed by OMA and through the Attorney General's office. And so you run the risk also if she does not fall under one of these exceptions and one of us asks for a review, that anything she votes on tonight could be rescinded.
That's correct. I mean, if obviously if the PAC under a request for review felt otherwise or ruled otherwise on a binding opinion, then they could render the opinion that the votes that the trustee who's participating remotely were not effective. They don't have to go that far. They don't have to issue a binding opinion. They also don't have to say that the votes were ineffective. It's up to the PAC. But both sides can file a review. Another trustee on the board, a member of the public can file a request for review. Anyone can. The trustee who is not able to participate remotely can. Any member of the public can. So I mean, it's a prerogative of the board. I mean, if there were additional evidence and you asked me whether or not what's been presented, you know, matches, like conflicting evidence matches a particular exception, I could provide guidance. But absent that, it's just it's the stated exception in the act. And
But
you have to decide.
that, as you said, would be guidance. You're not, it's still our determination as
Right.
this body politic whether we,
The whole board, right, as a majority vote.
and where does
Of
the
the
vote
members
stand right
present.
now, Madam Clerk?
2 ayes and 1 nay.
Three.
Kim and you haven't voted.
Okay.
I don't think Kim voted, did she?
2-1. Yeah, 2-1.
2-1 right now?
Two yeses. Nick
Um,
and Frank.
A, or aye?
Okay.
Trustee Muir?
Aye. All right. So Janet can participate, is that the rule?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes, oh yeah, motion passes.
Motion passed.
Based on that vote, the act does require that all subsequent votes at this
Have to
meeting
be roll call.
will have to be roll call, and we'll have to do this again for the second meeting, because this is a special meeting for the
Okay.
budget.
Barbara? And just real quick, I'd like the name of the business that she's working for.
Janet, the name of your business that you're out of town on, is it?
It's called Rustin Property. You don't have to be working for some outside entity. And this is
Person.
not actual, and this is not actually normally budget time. we should have had this taken care of some time ago. It was my expectation that we would have when these arrangements were made.
We did it this time last year.
Yes, because again, mistakes were made leading up until that time. It is not typical to pass your budget on practically the eve of, the end of the fiscal year. So, but it's called person property.
Okay, that's good. All right, please rise for the pledge. Kim, will you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I could hear Janet saying that.
Okay, next we have public comment. Any public comment?
No.
No? Okay, we'll move on to the public hearing, and I'll give it to Carmen now. Handle the public
Sure.
hearing.
I'd ask for a motion to open the public hearing concerning the fiscal year 2027 annual budget.
So moved.
I think it was Frank.
Yep.
Yeah.
Second.
Second by Nick.
And roll call.
Okay, roll call. Yep. Sorry.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Hassenberger?
Aye.
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
Okay, public hearing's open.
Okay. And at this point, I'm going to swear in all who would like to speak regarding the public hearing regarding the budget. So that would include any staff members, any members of the public that intend to make comment. So if anybody intends to testify, please raise your right hand. Yep. Please, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God. Thank you.
Aye.
And next is a staff overview of the budget.
I think the one that came in late raised her hand. She might want to comment.
Not quite working. Not really. How about just the regular mic? Yeah, there you go.
Is this an, whoa, okay. Is that better?
Much better.
Okay. All right, so up on the screen, and I believe you've got a copy of it that I handed to you, this is the summary, the budget summary for all funds of the village, which basically just lays out, maps out, going from left to right, the general fund, motor fuel tax fund, road and bridge fund, and the capital projects fund. What is not on here yet, and we'll get it on the next draft, is the police pension fund, which I'm still working on pulling together some numbers from Lauterbach and Amon. If we look at this schedule, we've got revenues for each fund, followed by their total, and this isn't total. We'll be able to look at more detail as we go through this. The total expenditures, the revenues over or under expenditures, and then the net revenues, because as of right now, we don't have any transfers slotted in. If you look at the general fund, right now it stands at $3,187,000 in revenues, $3,611,000 in expenditures, for a budgeted deficit of almost $424,000. Motor fuel tax revenues of $553,000. Expenditures, which this had been approved at a prior meeting via resolution. This is the road work that'll be done this year, $838,000, which results in a deficit of $286,000. Road and bridge fund, call it $643,000 in revenues, $683,000 in expenses, for a deficit of about $41,000. And then the capital projects fund with revenues of $1,148,000, expenditures of $486,000, which would result in an excess of revenues over expenditures of about $663,000. Total for the village, total revenues of $5.5 million, expenses $5.6 million, and about $88,000 deficit. To kind of show you how this will impact fund balances, if we look at this next schedule, we start off with the balances as of April 30th, 2025 per our audited financial statements. And you will see there's 3 classifications in the general fund. There's non-spendable, which really amounts to prepaid expenses. Committed, which is a number of things included in that committed fund balance that cannot be used for general fund, general operating purposes. And this amount does include there's a resolution the board passed where they say that we need to maintain 50% of budgeted revenues for that year, budgeted expenditures for that year. So that number that's in here is about $1.6 million. That's the reserve. And then an unassigned fund balance of $1.5 million. If you take into account the forecasted revenues over expenditures for this year for the general fund, we're budgeting about a $50,000 deficit, and that would bring us to a fund balance of $1,473,000. Again, if you go back to the projection for this year, 423 revenues, expenditures exceeding revenues, we would end up with a fund balance at the end of FY27 of about $1,050,000. And then we just walk through the rest of these. I can take you through each one if you feel it's needed. Motor fuel tax, starting off with a negative fund balance of $923. Projected revenues this year, $550, bringing us to a negative fund balance of $373. Projected expenditures over revenues, so a deficit for FY27 in the amount of $285,000 would bring us to $659,000 deficit fund balance. Road and Bridge, starting with 514, forecasting for FY26, $49,000 deficit, resulting in a fund balance of $465, and then right now budgeting another $41,000 deficit for FY27. Capital projects funds, beginning fund balance $2,039,000. Expenditures over revenues, so a deficit projected this year of about $920,000, which was due in part to a lot of road expenditures that were done. It comes to a fund balance of $1,119,000, and then projecting a $662 surplus for FY27, which would bring our fund balance back to $1,781,000. We can walk through. I don't know how much detail we want to go through. I've got all night. So I don't know if we want to see if there's specific questions that the public has at this point, or if the board would like me to walk through some more of this. I know I've had conversations with some of the trustees to try to answer questions.
Hey,
Okay.
Russ,
Frank, go ahead.
can you talk about the use fee and the reduction that we've seen over the last couple of years,
Yep.
which is contributing to the issue that we're having, and just kind of describe what that's all about?
Yeah, absolutely. In the packet that you have, and in the packet that I sent to the board, although I don't know if you have the last page. I'll pass these around. Let me bring it up here.
Russ is going to bring up the slide that shows
Yeah, so, well, this will kind of take us through it. So what's been happening, in building up this budget for the general fund, we've used, let me take you over here first. Okay. So as far as a lot of the taxes, the intergovernmental taxes that we come in, we're using, if you can see here, the IML estimates, the per capita estimates, okay, for income tax, use tax, motor fuel tax allotment, motor fuel tax, transportation renewal, and the cannabis use tax. Taking these estimates, you can see the FY '27 budget. And what Frank is referring to is the local use tax, where you can see that estimate, this is from the state, is at $29,000, okay? If we go back and take a look at what it has been, you go back to FY '24, you'll see the use tax was almost $416,000. FY '25, it was starting to come down, it was $309,000. Projecting this year at $213,000, excuse me, the budget for this year was $213,000. The forecast for this year, FY '26, is just under $100,000. And then, of course, the budget, which we already talked about for FY '27, is $29,000. So there's been a huge decrease in local use taxes, which has really hurt in terms of our, the revenues. If you look at the difference from '24 to FY '27, it's almost about a $400,000 difference in use tax.
And Russ, just to follow
Yeah.
up on that, so based on how you explained it to me, is that we made up for some of that through sales tax, because things moved around a little bit, but it was still just a fraction of what we used to get.
Exactly, and what it's done is it's kind of created a structural deficit here, guys, in that, you know, as far as we know, that revenue is not coming back. Unfortunately, at the same time, obviously, expenses increase with inflation and the growth of the village, so we need to address that, the 400 and, get back here, the $423,000 deficit for this year is likely to recur going forward unless we identify some other revenue sources.
Okay, anybody else have questions or comments?
And just point of clarification, revenue sources for the general operating budget, because the capital budget does have new revenue, but that, we're not talking about that revenue.
Right, because because those new sources are, right now, as it stands, all dedicated for roads. Yeah.
Capital. See if any of the public that just came can speak.
You have to swear them in.
So at this time in the public hearing, it is the time for public comment. If you care to make public comment, you can please step up to the microphone at the podium. We'll make sure that it's on. If you haven't already been sworn, before you do so, please let us know and we'll swear you in. And if you could please state your name when you step up to the podium.
Okay. Marietta?
She did. She swore. She swore.
Yep,
What's her name, Marietta?
Marietta Linkaitis.
Marietta Linkaitis.
I'm just here tonight to basically,
Still can't hear you, Marietta, I think.
does that work better?
That's better.
Okay. Just to basically ask your help for our particular area of Coron Road and Fair Oaks and our farm on Coron. There are some drainage issues going on with part of it is new construction. Our neighbors have some horses and they're adding on to their barn. Nice people, but we have had in the past drainage problems. We certainly don't want any manure incursion. So I have spoken, and Tim Morgan has been involved. He's helped very much. We found out that there's a blockage in the stream that serves that area. And so I just want to ask you guys to help us out so that we can get this done the right way and we don't have any runoff, stormwater problems and so on. After this past weekend, it was pretty bad. So that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marietta.
And just so the board knows, Tim has reached out to Campton Township Highway and the county, who has a big hand in some of that drainage that she spoke of. So it is in the works.
Okay.
Are there any other public comments on the budget?
Patsy Smith. The only comments I have would be to recommend that you consider removing some of the money from the capital from the new revenue sources and maybe using that to pay back the general fund for the road money that the general fund spent. We spent almost $1 million out of the general fund for roads last year. I think it was 800,000 something, or maybe it was 9 something. I can't remember, one of the two. But I would consider you think about that and maybe going forward start budgeting more based on the money we're getting in for roads. I'd much rather do that. I heard one idea floated around about a tax for the police pension, and I would like to see the village work a little harder at controlling their expenses before they consider something like that. So those are my recommendations.
Okay. Thank you, Patsy.
Any more public comment regarding the budget? Okay, at this time, we can accept a motion to close the public hearing. The board will certainly still have an opportunity to discuss the budget prior to taking any action on it. So I'd ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
By Frank. Second? Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Nick. Roll call.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Huffenberger?
Aye.
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
Okay, the public hearing is closed. Motion to approve ordinance 2630, approving the annual municipal budget for the fiscal year 2026, 2027. Do I have a motion?
I don't think that's ready.
Not ready yet? Okay, we'll move on. All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
No, we need a motion to adjourn.
I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, motion to adjourn public hearing?
Unless there's
In the meeting.
more discussion on the board.
And more discussion, or? No, Nick? Go ahead.
Well, yeah, this is our time to talk about the budget, yeah?
Sure,
Yeah.
go. Yes.
It was similar, almost spot on to what Treasurer Smith had suggested. I was going to bring up the same thing, using our new user fees to reimburse for the expenses that we, for the draws that we've taken out of the general fund over the last 2 years. And really, I guess it's just kind of moving money from one place to another, but because that money is allocated for road work only, it would be a reimbursement, and then using our distribution this year to help to even out the budget. Another question I had, there's a new expense. It's new to me. I wasn't anticipating it. $250,000 engineering estimate from HR Green for the KCOM grant, and I was curious, is that expense in the budget? Granted, it hasn't been approved, but it really ends up needing to be approved for that road work to go forward.
Yeah, I believe that was approved a meeting or two ago. When the 838 for the motor fuel tax, I think the engineering fees were also approved
Okay.
at that time.
So I mean, that would also be an eligible expense then going forward this year with the user fees.
Going forward, yeah. The issue is that, so the way it stands right now is that for FY '26, there was about $900,000 of engineering and road expenditures that was made out of the motor fuel tax fund, which should not have been. And so we need to move that. And right now, for purposes of this budget, I moved it into the capital projects fund, which is the most appropriate place for it. So if you say you want to move some money out of the capital projects fund into the general fund to reimburse for the road expenditures, well, the road expenditures weren't there. You know what I mean? Because they're in the capital projects fund.
Well, I'm talking about the $650,000 transfers that we take out every year. Can we reimburse for those with the user fees?
Well,
Mike wants to be recognized, he's got it.
yeah, I'm sure.
Go ahead, yeah.
Mike, go ahead. Yeah.
The transfer should be from the capital fund back to MFT, really, because that's where it got pulled out of, and so we got to make MFT a positive number.
Well, it's actually got to go out of the MFT to the capital, because, yes, we did authorize that Tim didn't do the book journal entry in the general ledger to take it from unrestricted fund balance.
Which is what we said to do.
That's what we said to do. So you're right, Nick. What was actually done was different. And so Russ is doing is saying the books have to show, take that money out of the MFT because it wasn't eligible to be used last year for MFT and put it to the capital. So you've got a sheet. If you could kind of pull that up and explain it, it may be easier if they see the math. But ultimately, to Nick's point, part of the negative budget number, you could make a direction to use some of the capital money to not repay last year's one, but the years before, you've got records of using fund balance for roads, 250 one year, 350 another. So you could effectively use that new user fee taxes to partly close your budget deficit, if that's what you're asking.
It is, you know, whatever that roadmap
Yeah.
ends up being, there is a way to get to that goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have we shouldn't have $1.7 million in the capital fund right now. That was supposed to have been the match for the roads. So however, I'm going off the fund balances that I'm looking at right now, and to the point that maybe that's the way to do it.
Yep.
That's fine, but right now, our motor fuel tax fund should be sitting at 600,000 and some change, whatever it normally is. And the capital project fund should not be at $1.7 million. So if you swap out $1 million and some change, that makes the math what I'm used to seeing. I'm used to seeing the capital fund budget with a 6-digit health to it, not a 7-digit health. So again, where it may have been not properly allocated or journal entered at the time,
Yeah.
I get it. But looking at where we are tonight, at this point, we don't need $1.7 million in the capital fund. We need to get the motor fuel tax fund back up to what we think is the reasonable, where it should be at the beginning of a construction season, which has traditionally been six something.
600 for this year, and then 450 will come in, and you'll have enough for the KDOT, or KCOM bypass list. But Russ has got a whole way to explain that, but I think we're all saying the same thing. Getting there, Russ, we can work that through before we pass the budget. That's it.
Well, I mean, I think what has to have, first you got to, really, I could think two issues here. Number one is FY '26, okay? What do we do with that 900? And I think what makes sense, again, we've got to get it out of motor fuel tax, move it into the capital projects fund, okay? Get those expenses out of there, and you move the money back into the motor fuel tax fund for the 900,000. Now you start looking at this year, okay? And you've got expenditures that need to be made in the capital projects fund, and you've got this deficit in the general fund. But all those revenues going forward, all those revenues are dedicated to the roads. So unless that were to change, you know what I mean? If it were to change and say, look, let's take 50% of those revenues for a period of time and funnel those into the general fund, that could help with this deficit in FY '27. You follow me? Does that make sense?
It does, as long as the funneling is going towards a roadwork expense. So that's kind of the path that
I think what Nick is saying, he wants the previous 2 years' road where the general fund unrestricted made transfers of 250, 350. I think if you've got your record of the last 3 expenditures, that's what Nick is saying, that capital goes, the new revenue, capital road, does a transfer of new taxes monies to go back to the general fund, not necessarily the 900 from this past year, because you've got that accounted for, but the previous couple years that we did. If you've got those numbers handy, I had them and I can't find it right now.
I had a few of them. I wanted to add one bit of clarification on the $252,000 for the engineering. That is a contract that this board approved about a year ago. Because that project did not happen last year. The contract's still in effect. Nothing's been expended on it. But that's overseeing the multi-million-dollar roadway project coming up this year. The local match for construction is proposed to be paid from MFT, which is what's budgeted, and which this board approved about a month ago. And the expense for the construction engineering would come out of general or capital as listed. I just wanted to clarify which project that was for and what it was.
Yeah, and I may have misspoke a little bit, because when I saw it recently, I was thinking about we prepaid for the engineering to get the grants, and then when I saw that expense, I understand that's boots on the ground, actually on site during the construction. That's what that $250,000 is, correct?
Correct. The engineering for obtaining grants and such, that has previously been paid for. This is the actual construction oversight documentation during construction, which has not been, nothing's occurred yet, so it's still pending.
Got it. Thanks for explaining.
Any more questions for Scott while he's up?
And just so if I get a fine point on what you're saying, Nick, and we've talked about it with some other trustees, what you're asking us to do is to really go back the previous years where we did take unrestricted fund balance to plus up our MFT that year of 450 to get to 850 or 900.
Exactly.
You're asking us to go back and look at those.
Exactly.
To use new user fee taxes, much like Treasurer Smith said, to reimburse the general unrestricted fund balance. And we can find those in previous years, not the one that you've already balanced correctly.
I'd have to go back and see how much, how far back we have to go to see what road expenditures were paid out of the general fund.
Yeah, and I
Off the
think
top
we
of
can
my
ask Scott to send us the previous 3 years where we've got good records on that, what we did. So we can get to that point. We don't have to do it exactly tonight, but you'd like us to inspect our records and give that as a consideration for your subsequent meeting to do that.
That was the idea I was bringing tonight. If there's a consensus, I think that'll work.
It's much the same as what
Perfect.
Treasurer Smith said.
Great.
Is there a consensus for us to review that and bring forth those numbers for the previous 2 or 3 years to show that? And then for your consideration, you're not voting on doing it, just show us so you can consider it. All right? And Janet just said yes too, so. All right, Russ, we'll work with Scott and our records to do that.
Okay, go ahead,
Yeah, I
Frank.
just wanted to point out real quick, that road work is gonna consistently happen year after year, right? So, and the money for the user fees was earmarked for road work. In the past, it always would come out of the general fund or the capital fund, right? So, instead of it coming out of there, we're gonna use the user fees going forward, so that's helpful. And I think it's important for residents to know, at least anybody who watches the recording going forward, there was a lot of questions about the user fees, that, you know, it was gas, electric, streaming, and, we were seeing, when telecom, but the telecom was dropping because people obviously don't have landlines or as many landlines anymore. And the reason I wanted Russ to point out the use fee and the big shortfall, was that really, without those user fees, we'd be in much worse shape today than not. So even though it was controversial at the time, not everybody was happy about it, we needed to find a way to generate some revenue. So in retrospect and looking at it today, it was a lifesaver. Otherwise, these numbers would be significantly worse. So.
I have a comment.
Thank you, Frank.
Trustee Burson would like to be recognized.
Oh, go ahead, Janet.
Regarding the telecom taxes, I actually don't expect that those would drop because that is not just landlines. The simplified telecommunications tax covers landlines, VoIP lines, and cell service. So unless we think that people are going to stop using their cell phones or that the cost of cell phone service is going to drop, I think we could expect modest increases in the telecom taxes as well.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you,
I
Janet.
concurred from talking to a little bit of IDOR downstate, that's true.
Nick?
Um,
Go ahead.
Yeah, one last comment, and I will preface this by, this is not about the police department being a revenue generator. More so, this is about being good stewards of taxpayer dollars and stewards of our roads. But one thing that I did notice was, you know, the police department's a $2.5 million line item. And we end up, it is called revenue or fines and fees, but that's at about $100,000. And I had some conversations with Chief. I'm not going to necessarily say any numbers. I'd really like for the chief and the administration to come up with a number. But I'm curious if we can push that $100,000 to, you know, a 10% number. That may be optimistic, but if that number was a $250,000 number, and that came from grants for DUI policing, if it came from, you know, more truck enforcement.
And I think, to your point, you're spot on with that request, because the chief has a report of one of our officers that's been going to the truck overweight school to get certified, and he could lend some.
Yeah, I mean, and I'd like to push it as far as we can in a reasonable fashion. I mean, we're not trying to nickel and dime or, you know, just go after our residents and get a bad reputation. I mean, it's really about being stewards of the road, stewards of the taxpayer dollars, and doing whatever we can to push that number in a responsible way. But
I'll defer to the chief. He's ready to comment on that. We'd had a little discussion earlier today.
Yeah, prior to the budget thing, truck enforcement, we always, as a police department, for the longest, I actually was a former commercial truck enforcement officer. Like, this isn't a punishment thing. What this boils down to is many companies, most companies out there are reputable companies. They weigh their trucks before they go on the roads, and you don't have issues with the big companies. Unfortunately, some are not, and typically those are your smaller ones, and I be your owner-operators that are trying to cut corners. But we know, obviously, how expensive it can be having overweight trucks. The board has done a great job. We've even restricted on some roads trucks in general to prevent this from happening. So Officer Foote, who is a very productive traffic enforcement officer, he this week is in Lake Forest, actually. He had previous truck enforcement experience, so he wanted the refresher class. He's in a 40-hour refresher class right now. So when he comes out, he will take over, because he's on days, primarily as the truck enforcement officer. So it works out perfect. We are in the spring and summer, That's, I try to also stress, spring, summer, it's there. Obviously, you have people get to winter, that dies down considerably because construction season is pretty much over. Is it still there? It is. The question was brought to me, like, how many commercial trucks, you know, are going through the village of Campton Hills? Well, you're talking about thousands of trucks a day. Think of the roads we have, 38, 64, 47. How many of those overweight trucks are, how many of those commercial trucks are violating the law and being overweight? Couldn't give you a number on that. I mean,
20%.
yeah, 15, 20%, I would say, are probably doing it. So if I had to say having a trained, proactive officer out there enforcing trucks at a reasonable number, this isn't this isn't a revenue maker, as Trustee Boatner said. Roads get damaged. The village is responsible for paying for those roads to be damaged, and people that are damaging the road should be held liable for those damages. So I would say conservatively, yes, $50,000, spring, summer, is something that would be easily obtained. I don't want to go much more than that, because I never want to put numbers that is going to be way off, because then someone's going to come back and say, well, you said this and you're this. I think realistically, like, that is a solid number that, with the commercial truck enforcement and the overweight part of it, that the village could recoup to replace the damaged roads, if that is.
So the chief is doing what a good chief always does in every city, under-promising, and he'll over-deliver. So,
Mike?
Who's the guy that was from Lombard we had before you? That ran our truck program? Can't think of his name, I apologize. Yeah, I might have said it to him, or I might have said it to you when you took over, and Patsy's heard me, a couple of you heard. Remember back in the day when the back of the semis used to have that little sticker that says, you know, this truck pays $2,850 in taxes? I wanted to go out and buy one that said, and does $7,000 worth of damage to the road, and stick it underneath it, because that's the point. And to Trustee Boatner, you're being very polite and very clear that we're not setting quotas, we're not doing any of that kind of stuff. That's not what this is about.
check.
This is a way to protect our investment, our very significant investment in our pavement and overweight trucks and freeze thaw and overweight trucks on thawing roads are like they could do more devastating damage in a 2-week period in the spring than they could do running slightly overweight the whole year. So I'm fully in favor of this. And I did want to make a comment earlier. The village summary page, and this is to Russ, the village summary page, that's brilliant. I've seen a bunch of budgets that we all have over years. Since we only have 4 funds, really, you've got them columnar and line 2, right? So I can go back and forth between them. That's really cool. So nice layout.
Nick, go ahead.
Yeah, so just the last thing about the conversation we were having with the truck enforcement, but the fines and penalties vary a lot. But if there were 5 overweight truck tickets issued every week, I mean, we'd be at $130,000 taken into the averages that those fees end up being in the state of Illinois. And then the question is, you know, I'm asking you, Chief, if you can come up with a number that would push the police department, but additionally, what kind of support that you would need to make that happen. I mean, perhaps you're set up and you have all the tools that you need to issue however many truck enforcement tickets, but I don't know. So I would just ask that you let us know as well if you're outfitted properly to do that.
Sorry, I lost my page. No, I don't have complaints, or obviously we will always discuss the need, which is in this budget, for the patrol car part of it to keep actually doing the job. But, I mean, I appreciate it. We don't, even as a smaller town, if it was truck enforcement we're talking about, we have a resource west of us off of 38 to use their scales at no charge. I know people a lot of time, and I did this research because I brought it to the board many years ago, and it was gonna be approved originally where I wanted you guys to give the funds to get portable weigh scales.
It was a thing at the time.
It literally is a thing of the time, because you have walked into, like, you're asking an officer to lay on side of a state route with trucks going by, hope they don't get hit while they're climbing under a truck. The weather conditions, someone's gonna pick up, I don't care how advanced they've gotten now, someone's gonna pick up a scale and they're gonna pull their back or they're gonna drop it on their hands, like, and the benefit isn't there. Like, if you're Illinois State Police that have mobile truck portable scale units that drop it at Route 59 and 72, and you have 20 guys standing there that can pull in 100 trucks, okay, the benefit's there. For smaller agencies, it's not there. So the portable scales wouldn't be a benefit to us. I mean, I actually think it would sort of hurt us in the long run. And the vehicle then, you have to have a heavier vehicle that can carry around the weight of the scales. Like, the tools and resources that the board gives the police department, I understand we have a large budget, the majority of the budget. There is no complaints on that. Like, we get the tools we need to do the job. So, like, I appreciate the offer. Again, my biggest thing will stand is going to be the vehicles that we have to do the job. That's it. I mean, that's the biggest thing the police department needs. And one quick thing, because I missed your other thing on there, and you are correct. There is a lot of other grant opportunities out there through IDOT, and the state, that, it could be DUI enforcement, it could be seatbelt enforcement, it could be distracted driving enforcement. There is a bunch of grants out there that Christina will submit to get into. Without going into details, I had to check on a couple things to make sure we were eligible to do those. We are, they got back to us. So there is other opportunities we will pursue for these grants, these other sources of revenue to help offset what we currently have there.
One last time,
Quick
Nick.
one. For the truck enforcement, is there additional training that officers need to have? They need to be certified to do that. Is there budget to have more certified officers right now?
No, the reason I say that is that it's not necessarily the cost of the perfect example. It's a 40-hour training course that they go to. Yes, you got to be certified in it. I mean, the training really, I throw a rough number, maybe it's $500 to send the officer to the training class. So the training is not that much where it really impacts the budget a heck of a lot. Again, if you're having to fill that officer, that's obviously would be overtime, so that would cost a little. But the right training and the right condition and not having someone have to fill in. The good thing is when they work 12-hour shifts, if you could try to align their training with their schedule, like say on a short week, you're not having to have officers come in and fill in all these days as overtime. So it's not that big of an impact, at least to our budget and that for the training part.
Okay. Anybody else?
I have a question.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Trucks drive on a variety of different roads, but we're not responsible for the road surface on most of those roads. We are responsible for the road surface on Bolcom, which is used as a shortcut rather than taking 64 to Randall and going north, correct? And so my question is really to Trustee Millette. The damage that we're talking about that could be done if we were to just consider this one road, Bolcom Road, which we also recently resurfaced, and had a reasonable expected life when we did it, absent the overweight truck traffic. Can you give us an idea, just very broadly, what kind of damage we could be looking at rather? Or is this, is this $10,000 worth of damage, $100,000 worth of damage, potentially more damage than that? Or another way of looking at it is, how much would it shorten the life of that road before we have to completely repave it again?
Go Go ahead, Mike.
I think when I calculated that number previously, that would have been 96, so put 30 years of inflation at $5,000. So that would be over 10,000, right? Has inflation been
Yeah.
doubled, right? So 12,000. The reducing life
Is that
expectancy.
per incident?
Per truck.
Okay.
Per void truck. And then, and this was a study by what had been the Chicago Area Transportation Study back in the day and merged in with NIPSI to become CMAP. And we never really had a good firm number on how it would reduce the health of the road.
And the life.
Or the life expectancy of the road, so I couldn't answer that one, sorry.
Okay. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Kim?
Yeah, it's more like a PSA. It goes back to the local use tax and the declining revenue there. I don't think most of the residents, the majority of the residents in the state of Illinois know how that works. And it's depletion, okay? They are pushing in Springfield right now, I do believe our governor is, another reduction in it. I do believe Metro West also sent out a call to action for everybody to get a hold of our state representatives and state that don't allow this to happen. Matter of fact, I would add, at least bring us back our 8% instead of the 10 that it used to be back in the day. If we had that 10%, we wouldn't have this problem, okay?
Right.
So I just wanted to make that public statement that everybody should actually know that, you know, we work, this village lives on that money, and it has. And we've done it great for 19 years now, okay? I'll get off the soapbox on the PSA there. But I do want to, I want to thank the chief for being a good start with the money he's given and working with what he's doing. And I'm just saying, he's done a really great job.
All right, anybody else? We ready to move on?
I think Russ has some more to,
Russ? Okay.
he's gonna cover the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, because we do need to wrap up the budget at some point, so we need to discuss, I think, how and when that's gonna happen. So I think we were planning on having another meeting next week. I think the Finance Committee is
29th?
gonna meet
29th.
Thursday? Okay, so the Finance Committee will meet Thursday to go over this, so, and now you're saying that the 29th, that Wednesday, is it?
I think it is.
Yeah, 'cause
Okay.
there's some
To approve it.
conflicts on Tuesday.
All right, in the meantime, so just a few things that we've discussed at prior meetings that are accounted for in this budget. That we had kind of gotten some guidance from you guys, but I just want to make sure you guys are still okay with where we had placed the COLA, and then we talked about the step increase at that last meeting. Is that still, everybody still okay with it now that you've seen the budget? Yeah, everybody's, okay. All right, just one other thing that I want to point out, and again, this gets back to this deficit issue. So when we were over here looking at the fund balance page, and we saw this $50,000 deficit coming through the general fund, okay? I just want to point out that
That's your point, Jim.
the actual expenditures over revenues was for FY '26 is projected to be about $226,000. The reason why the amount being carried into the fund balance is only a $50,000 negative is because there was during the year, there was a $176,000 transfer out of the capital projects fund to the general fund to reimburse it for expenditures made under the ARPA grant over a number of years. So, we need to, this here, this 226 is 423 for this year, isn't probably going to go away until we think about other sources of revenue. So, again, I don't have any answers, but as we finish off this process, we need to be thinking about that.
Okay, thank you, Russ. Anybody else? Okay. All right, are we ready to move on to the consent agenda? I'm sorry,
Well-
motion to adjourn the public hearing for the budget?
The special meeting.
The special meeting, yeah, I'm sorry.
moved.
Moved by Frank, second. Second by Nick, roll call. Or, all in favor, say
I
aye.
think we have to do a roll call.
No, it's roll call.
Okay.
Because
Oh, because of
Because of remote
Janet.
attendance.
Okay. All right, roll call.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Burson?
Trustee Burson.
Trustee Burson?
Mark. Trustee Burson.
did you say aye? Oh, no.
Oh, we lost her.
Lost her.
She said bye. The
She
phone.
said
Are
bye.
you still there?
Oh,
No, I didn't.
It
It
hung
hung
up.
up.
Okay, we'll say absent for that. Trustee Hassenberger?
Aye.
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
okay. All right.
Janet Burson.
Well, you want to wait till? No?
Don't need to.
All right, well, anything to remove
We're going
from,
to go to the regular meeting now.
Yeah, I'm sure you managed to adjourn the other meeting.
Yeah, we did.
okay. Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order, April 21st, 2026, and, go ahead, Tracy. Roll call.
We need to acknowledge the remote participation.
After the roll call.
Okay.
Yeah,
Trustee Benetti?
Here.
Trustee Boatner?
Here.
Trustee Hassenberger?
Here.
Trustee Millet?
Present.
Trustee Muir?
Here.
President Winicky?
present, and motion to bring in Janet Burson, trustee Burson.
So moved.
Moved by Frank. Do I have a second? Second by Nick. You want roll call?
Discussion,
Oh,
again.
I'm
It's
sorry.
got to be on the record.
Okay, discussion.
So
Go
I'm just
ahead.
going to put this back on the record. The same discussion we had with the special meeting earlier tonight, that I'm concerned about the remote participation. While I appreciate the request, and honestly, if it was up to me, I would allow remote participation anytime. But we have to follow our code, and our code mirrors the Illinois statute. And under our code, it says that remote participation is allowed under certain circumstances, such as employment obligations, family emergencies, or unexpected situations. But the key language is that you have to be prevented from physically attending. So that suggests that there's some reason that you couldn't have rescheduled whatever it is that you're doing. So if you're on a business meeting that is scheduled by your company and it's an annual meeting that you have no input on, that would be the kind of thing that's saying you're being prevented from physically attending. I don't believe, well, first of all, then I need to ask Ms. Trustee Burson what her exception is for participating remotely today.
We're here on real estate.
Mark, Janet needs to
I got it.
communicate. Okay, you got it?
Tell us why you're remotely asking for remote participation.
Mm-hmm.
We're here on real estate business.
And
And I am prevented from attending because I can't get back there. You know, all distance in order to participate tonight.
Can I ask what the name of your business is that you're claiming is preventing you from being here tonight?
There's some property, as you know.
Yeah, we need to put it on this record, Trustee Burson. So I'm just going to say again that I think for consistency and fairness to the board, I do not believe that this request should be approved. I don't think it's an appropriate exception. I don't think there's anything preventing Ms. Burson from physically attending. I think this was a voluntary chosen dates that she decided to be out of town. And I think I think there's been other situations in the board where this would not have been allowed, and I don't think that it should be allowed here.
Okay.
Make one comment.
Sure, go ahead, Frank.
I just did a quick search on it. It says key considerations for self-employed trustees traveling for business include, under the Illinois Open Meetings Act, a trustee may attend meetings remotely if they cannot be physically present due to employment purposes. It doesn't really give any definition as to different types of employment or businesses or who you work for or not. Requirement for remote participation is to attend remotely. The trustee typically must notify the village clerk in advance, usually 24 hours. And a quorum of the board must be physically present at the meeting location, which we have today. There's some other things there, but I don't see anything that would prohibit a self-employed person from attending the meeting remotely, so.
Thank you, Frank. Okay, roll call.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee you don't vote. Trustee Hassenberger?
Nay.
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Any other public comments for our next meeting? Okay.
I would say no.
Yeah, I did.
I don't think I've,
Patsy Smith?
is this, yeah, Patsy Smith, is this on? Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's mentioned it, but we had our 19th anniversary last week on April 17th. So I still think we did the right thing by incorporating to preserve our semi-rural way of life. I'm grateful for all the people that have volunteered over the years. And anyway, I just wanted to mention that. The only thing I wanted to say is I would recommend that you, if you are going to be discussing item number 5D tonight, I would just recommend you remove some language and put in some other language. Oh, I didn't bring it. It's like section 2, 3, and 4, I think, about the disconnections. And what I would suggest is putting the village in control by taking those paragraphs out and stating something to the effect of that the Forest Preserve agrees to disconnect if the village determines it's in the village's best interest to do so. And that way, the village gets to determine when the appropriate time and why. And I think it would be helpful if they would come to the village board and make a public plea if they want out of the village before the board just lets them out without the public knowing why. Why do they want out? I think it's important to provide the language on the zoning and the permitting, because I think that's a legitimate concern of the Forest Preserve. We've worked with the KDOT because they have their facility here, and we've allowed them to do zoning and building permitting without our, overseeing it. And I think that would be a legitimate point to say, look, we've lived together for almost 20 years, it's worked, there's no reason it can't work, with the Forest Preserve as well, especially if we're willing to put in writing why, that we're not gonna try to get in their way on zoning and permitting since they have their own ability to do it. But that's my suggestion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Drew, do you have anything to say about that? Yeah, you and I had talked about the Forest Preserve disconnecting. You got to use the mic, yeah, thank you. Drew
Drew Fries, I'm the president of the Fox Civic Association. I did talk to Ben Habither today, and it's kind of a matter of routine with the Forest Preserve's new legal counsel that they try and have equal administration of these kind of things across the county. So it's sort of not a precedent. They don't want to set a new precedent by not asking for those sort of things across the board. So it's just a policy that they have. And, if you recall, there's a land transfer between the Forest Preserve and Campton Township Open Space that will happen because of this. And that will take a large parcel that's right in the middle of Campton Hills and put that in control of the township. And the Forest Preserve will take over their property over on the other and make one large open space complex over there. So person driving by on the road won't know whether it's in the village or not. It's just open space. So,
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Drew. All right.
Mike Terrell?
Still under the public comment, started the agenda yet.
Okay.
Good evening. Just take a moment to follow up on some conversations that have taken place on several occasions over the last several months, maybe even a year. It refers to the rental next door by Metro West. I'm not sure of how many of you are familiar with Metro West. I know some are. But I would take the opportunity and suggest to you understand the value that they provide. They are a council of governments with representation of over 35 municipalities covering 6 counties. Metro West provides valuable resources and knowledge. For 16 years, Metro West had an office in Aurora on city property that they got rent-free. Now, I'm not suggesting, nor did we institute, a rent-free option for them. While we were going through the remodeling of this facility, coincidentally, Metro West was looking for a home. We did not need all of Suite A. And as you see in the little handy diagram that I provided to you, we divided off roughly a third of that site. They did pay a rent, unlike what they did before. It was a competitive rent, but there seems to be a real issue about the free electricity, the so-called free electricity and heating. We had the option when remodeling this building of dropping in a separate unit, electrical panels, meters, and a rooftop HVAC. Combined, and I'm being conservative, that was north of $40,000 to provide a separate utilities for them. Keep in mind that Building A, when you look at the meters and the heating, that is for Unit A. There is no separate in there. That's for the police department. 2/3 of that Suite A, the heat, which is 24/7, the electricity, which is 24/7, is the police department. Metro West occupies that front half, perhaps 1 day a week, and occasionally 2 days a week. Now, flip to the second page I provided to you. They don't use much electricity, they don't use much heat. That goes to the police department. However, being a not-for-profit allowed us to petition Kane County, and we reduced, what's the number on here, about $3,400 in real estate taxes. Okay? So if you take that $3,400 in savings and apply it to the minimal use of heat and air conditioning, I think we still come out ahead as a village. So, a little bit of clarification. When you see meter A out there for Suite A, over 2/3 of that space is police department, but far greater, because of the 24/7 operation, is village heat and electricity. Are there any questions?
Okay, any questions for Mike?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
When you give the clarification. Actually, we did get a clarification.
Yeah, she said she okay with 3%.
Yeah.
With Metro West,
Yeah, Leslie
yeah.
said 3% would be fine,
Yeah.
but not for utilities.
Yeah, so we did get that as a offer.
Okay.
Chief's budget went up again,
Okay.
No, we're not.
We ready to move on, finally, to the consent agenda? All right, anything to remove from the consent agenda? Treese?
Yeah,
go
I'm
ahead.
going to remove 5D, but it's really something pretty easy. It's pretty much mimics what we just heard, but 5D,
5D?
the
Okay,
IGA.
okay. Anything else to remove from the consent agenda? Kim?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with, 5C,
You mean 6C, right?
or
6.
6C.
6, no,
It's 5.
5.
Was it 5? Oh, yeah, we're back to the regular agenda.
Five E, sorry. I might then have to do F, G, and H, but I just want to make a comment on 5C.
You gotta pull them then.
Yeah, I want to pull.
So what are you pulling?
Definitely 5C.
5C, read it to me, because my agenda's different.
Motion to approve 26-29,
Okay,
amending the village, Camden Hills Village Code regarding finance committee
it.
membership
okay.
terms.
That's 5E.
Yeah,
B.
somehow.
Am I saying C?
You were saying C.
Oh, sorry. It's 5E.
Okay.
Maybe a question for our village attorney. If I pull for the question on 5E, do I need to pull 5F, G, and H? I don't think I do, but, no, I don't think I do.
Well, I guess it depends on what the,
What's your issue is?
What's my issue?
'Cause the
Well,
next-
just the red line changes, I'm just questioning one of them.
It's consent, then it's already done.
right, because the next, so after you made that, you designated that pulling of those items, the next motion would be to approve the rest of the consent agenda. So if you want to
Just-
pull
we'll
them,
just
pull them now.
Pull them all.
Yeah, and if your question is answered, then, you know, we'll take quick votes on the other things.
So you're removing F, G, and
So
H?
E, F, G, and H,
You're, okay.
for a question on E.
So we have D,
Yes.
E, F,
I'm
G,
gonna
and
remove
H. Anything else?
I'm just gonna remove them.
Anything else?
So we're just voting on A, B, and C.
Yep, yeah, I'll accept a motion to move forward with the consent agenda, with the exception of D, E, F, G, and H.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
moved by Kim and second by Mike. Okay. Yeah, roll call?
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Hafsenberger?
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes. All right. Kim, go ahead. No. See, mine are different, I'm sorry.
It'd be Therese.
Okay. All
So-
right, Therese, go
Yeah,
ahead.
okay, so I don't
Should
know that
have
I've
a-
got like real strong feelings about this, but I am also a little bit concerned about the
Move-
language.
Move to remove from for agenda for discussion purposes.
Yeah, we should have a motion
Or
first.
motion to remove from the table.
Okay. Okay, we'll accept a motion to remove from the table.
So moved.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call?
Oh,
Mi-
let her do discussion.
Yeah.
It's a,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
discuss-
sorry, yeah, my agenda's
just
a
for
little bit
discussion.
different from, this must be,
because trustee has a second.
yeah.
Okay, so
Go
I just,
ahead.
I also have kind of the same concerns about the language being so definitive that we'll agree to cooperate to allow the district
Oh.
to disconnect, and I'm not saying I wouldn't agree to that. I just wonder if we shouldn't give ourselves at least the opportunity to, address whatever the issues are at the time. I also wanted to kind of point out that it appears, from what I understand, the, one of the sanitary districts that we might be looking at, this Prairie, I forget what it's called, Grand Prairie, I believe that if we do end up going that route, I believe that district would be 100% then within the village boundaries, and so we could consider running that district ourselves as a village. I'm also not suggesting that necessarily either, but just doing some sort of a feasibility study to see if that's something that would be good for the village to do. So if we leave the language the way it is here, we give up the opportunity if they just are adamant about disconnecting. So I would like to see something more just sort of saying that we will consider a motion, consider their desire to disconnect, and that we won't unreasonably withhold our approval or something like that. However, I don't think that we should be committing to 100% if they want to disconnect. We have them disconnect. The other issue I have, and this is just perception, and maybe no one cares about this, but I feel like we're fighting pretty hard for this open space to just kind of turn it over. I'd like to see it in the village. But once again, I'm open to different arguments on that respect. If this is something that's going to make the Forest Reserve walk away or something like that. I mean, I don't want to, jeopardize anything, but I feel like we're giving up some of our power without having, has anyone done a feasibility study to see if this is something we would want to do, is run this water district?
You mean run the forest preserve?
No, the water district. It's the water
Oh,
district.
the water
Not
district.
Wasco. This would be the new one, because I believe the land
Yeah.
is fully within, no?
It's a little far off, yeah.
Not a good idea, Dave? Okay. Dave is saying don't do it, okay.
No, fiscally, I think it would be, I just know that I would never recommend us taking over the district. We'd have to up we already have a stress running the operation we have. We'd have to increase manpower and expertise, and it's not easy to run a sanitary sewer, whether it's a,
Yeah, is that right, Dave?
Yeah.
Gives us his input
Yeah,
here?
Dave at the podium.
Good evening.
Yes, I agree.
Good evening. For the record, David Patzelt, P-A-T-Z-E-L-T, from the Shodine Group, 77 North First Street, Geneva, Illinois, 60134. Trustee, I'd just like to clarify for you, you made a statement that the Grand Prairie Sanitary District is wholly within or coterminous with, that's my word, with the annexation of the Ryan property. It is not.
Okay.
The Grand Prairie Sanitary District, as an example, extends east of Brundage Road, and so there is area outside of the recently annexed property that is within this, currently within the sanitary district.
Okay,
So
I
just
guess
wanted
that
to
answers
clarify.
that question, yeah, so maybe I was given wrong advice, that it was
I think
fully within.
to me, it is, could be a common error because it's assumed that the Shodine organization is acquiring all of the Orion property. There is property that the Ryans had a 75% with a 25% partnership with some other partners. So we are not acquiring 100% of the property that was commonly known as Settlements of Fox. Some of that land was lost during the Great Recession to foreclosure. So that land then was acquired, specifically east of Brundage Road, was acquired by the Forest Preserve, as an example. Then there's other land, such as the northeast corner of Harley Road and Kesslinger Road, approximately 60 to 70 acres, that also is within the Grand Prairie Sanitary District that is not part of the annexation.
Thank you for that clarification, I
You're
appreciate it. So then I would just maybe I'd make a motion then that we approve this resolution, but just change the language in section 2.3 and 2.4 as necessary to make it so that we are not just agreeing, but that it would be a process. They would come to us with a, proposal, and we would then, review the pros and cons of allowing them to disconnect, instead of making that decision right now. I also question whether or not we can make this decision if it isn't us deciding on this de-annexation. If we agree to this now and it ends up being decided by a future board in a year, I'm not sure we can bind them to something like that.
Well, if I could put my 2 cents into this conversation, being an ex-Forest Preserve Commissioner, serving on the Forest Preserve for 24 years, this is really common practice. They don't normally annex into a village. They usually want to be independent of that, and it's just something that has been done universally over many years. So I think that where my heart's with the Kane County Forest Preserve, that I think they should stay independent as well. So.
But if I could interject, I think we did negotiate back and forth in Carmen. We do have language that they can't do a disconnection if it's going to leave any property owners that are in the village and make them abandoned. So if folks along Brundage do come into the village, on the west and east side of Brundage Road. If they disconnected, they would end up having us not having continuity to those properties along Brundage. So there is a kind of a protection built into this negotiations that we've had with the Forest Preserve, and Dirk Price understands that intimately, and that's in the agreement, correct, Carmen? Correct, okay. So I think we've got some protection, and it would be harder than just us amending this tonight. It would trigger that the Forest Preserve has to meet. They'd asked us not to do this because they'd have to meet with the Forest Preserve, get a new vote, and they'd have to meet with the Campton Township Supervisor. John Kupar would not be happy either, just because it's one more delay in the operation. And I think we've got the coverage with the disconnection of the people on Brundage would be abandoned, orphaned. Their disconnection is not very likely.
That's true.
If we do what we intend to do with the folks on Brundage.
I'm going to withdraw the request then. We'll go ahead and approve it the way it is.
Okay.
Thank you. You're not part of the meeting.
Yeah.
She's not part of the meeting.
Mm-hmm. All right, any other comments or discussion? Okay, ready to vote? Roll call.
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Burson? Trustee Hatzenberger?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. All right,
Just to remove from the table.
remove from the table, okay. Mm-hmm, go.
Approve.
Motion to approve, roll
Motion to
call.
approve.
Mm-hmm,
Second?
All right, Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Hatzenberger?
Aye.
okay, motion passes. All right, moving on to 6E.
5E.
See,
Yeah,
it's,
it's right
yeah, well, all right. I apologize, I have an agenda, and apparently there was one updated, and,
Is there an updated comment?
or I have the updated one or the other, that's all right. We're down at the bottom. Yeah. Okay, do you want to take them all together, or do you
Well,
want?
I have to make a motion, yes?
Yeah, make the motion.
Okay, so a
Ken.
motion to
Mhm.
approve 5E along with F,
Yeah,
G,
that's
and H.
Okay, do I have a second? Second by.
Do I need to state what they all are?
Why don't you start with 5E?
Okay.
Because we really should take them one at a time. But if your question's answered, then we can just move into successive votes.
Okay, all right. So motion to approve 5E, ordinance 2629, amending the Campton Hills Village Code regarding Finance Committee membership, terms of office chair.
You second? Okay.
Okay, my discussion, here, let me put this up. And it's just quite literally the changes. I think it's great to see quarterly in there versus just twice a year. And as needed, that's a needed change. The one thing I do change, or want to question, or I have a question about is section 2-4-2 about membership, terms of office and chair. We've got a red line adding for the village president then serving in office would serve as the liaison to the committee. And it's adding, or her designee. This is just a pin in mind, I just wanted to bring it up and make public. I believe that the village president should be that liaison to that committee. There shouldn't be a designee there. I think the president should be involved in that committee. I guess, would I make a second motion then? If I wanted to have that removed, I'd make a second to remove it, to
Well,
amend it?
If there's a consensus of the board to remove that red line, then.
You wouldn't.
You can, you make a motion to amend your motion to approve with the removal of that red line change.
Okay, well, I guess you need to see if anybody else wants to
Yeah, I was
discuss
just
what I
thinking-
just brought up.
Anybody else? Therese, go ahead.
I just had a question. I agree with you. However, if we, have a situation where we've got a president who just will not or does not want to attend those meetings, would it be better to allow them to have a designee attend that they think would do the job? Or how do we require the president to attend these meetings? Or what
That's
do
a
we, how do we go about that? I'm just wondering what's the lesser of the evils here if we have someone who really doesn't have I agree with you. I think that the president should be at those meetings. How do we enforce that?
I mean, and that's true, and it can go either way. I mean, the way that the code already reads, it says that not more than one of the members may be a member of the Board of
That's the
Trustees, but that
problem.
doesn't say that the village president's designee can't be one of the trustee that's on the committee. So theoretically, more likely than not, it would probably be that trustee if the village president designated them, or it could be a staff member, but it can't be another trustee acting as another member of the committee.
Go ahead.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, it sounds to me like those are actually two different positions. So we're allowing one to be a member, where they're a voting member, they participate in the discussion in the meetings. The other one is more of a liaison, where they are non-voting. So it almost looks like, there's two options here for the president. She can, add someone to the meeting, like we're potentially doing here with Mr. Benetti. And then she also could add someone in to take her place under this language instead of but it's a liaison, which is a much different role, I feel like.
Correct. I think that's right.
Okay, anybody else? Frank?
I guess I have a question. If a trustee is going to be the chairperson, do you need a liaison? Because the trustee can actually update the board, right?
That's true.
That's how a lot of other villages actually work, where the trustees chair the committees, and then it's the trustees who report back to the board. I honestly don't care either way, but I'm just making a point.
Okay. All right, Mike?
Actually, I wasn't going to say anything, but I'm thinking about this now. To Trustee Benetti's point, I think I mentioned it in my mea culpa. Man, I can't speak tonight. Earlier, that I really like committees to be independent, and having one of the elected bodies there always seems to suppress or unwantingly steer the discussion. And I'm speaking my own experience with Public Works Committee. I feel it's better let them to do their business, and if they need me there to answer questions, they invite me there to answer questions. So, but in talking through what we've gone and experienced the last couple of years. Side note, thank you for putting negative numbers with parentheses around them. The idea that this is a subcommittee of this board as opposed to an advisory committee, I think changed my concept on it, and to the point where subcommittees of the board can just be only members of the board. Clarendon, it was just two of the trustees would be the committee, and they would grab expertise as needed. So I'm okay, and actually realizing this makes sense to have a number of trustees, less than 5, on the finance committee. But the makeup of it, I think it could certainly be, as you said, it could certainly be a trustee who is filling the place of the liaison if the board president is unable to make it, or it can be a member who would be chair that would then serve that same function. So the question then is, by leaving the desired language in here, does it change anything? To the earlier point, can you force somebody to do something, which sort of the language as it sits now kind of sort of implies that? But then it doesn't allow that person to replace themselves for some period of time. I'm going to, I got surgery coming up and I'm going to be whatever. I need you to cover a couple meetings for me, that type of thing. So I'm okay with the language being in there or keeping it the way it was.
Yeah.
No, I was just making a question, all very valid points. Would like to see the village, I'd like to see that bullet point stay in there, though, but I'll retract my motion to have that removed then.
To
Or did
have
I
the-
make that removed? I didn't make a motion. Okay, well then,
Now you're ready to vote?
yeah.
Okay, roll call.
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
Trustee Hafzenberger?
Aye.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Okay. We have to go down the line, yeah, F.
Okay, motion to approve 5F, motion to advise and consent of the village president's appointment to trustee Frank Benetti to the Finance Committee for a term to expire April 21st, 2028.
Second.
Okay, second by Mike. Discussion?
Just a quick comment on the date. So I think Mr. Benetti's up for reelection as of 4/30/2027. So he would just stay on as, if, let's say he either chose not to run or didn't win his election, he would just, I'm assuming stays on the committee as just a member then afterwards. Is that the plan?
I can share it, right?
Sure. I don't see why not.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Just making that point.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's just tied to the individual, so it would, if he
Doesn't
were on
matter.
the board, he can, if you were no longer on the board, he could remain as the chair. Yeah.
Okay, any other discussion? Right?
I
Roll
I just
call.
have a question. Should I
Sure.
abstain on this? Do I need to abstain? Probably should, right?
I would say yes.
You could, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Trustee Benetti?
I'm going to abstain.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Hafzenberger?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Go ahead down the line, Kim. D, yeah.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Motion to approve 5G, motion to advise and consent to the village president's appointment of trustee Frank Benetti as chair of the Finance Committee for a term to expire April 21st, 2027.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
A second by Treese, discussion?
I'm going to do a quick discussion. I just want to point out, I know last year there was some issues about having us on the committee, having board members on the committee, and I understand some of the concerns that were raised earlier. And I just wanted to mention and put it on the record that I know Barbara did speak to some of the, I guess we have only 2 left, existing members on the Finance Committee, and they're okay with this. So just to put that on the record, that they're aware that we're having someone from the board going on the committee, and they said they're okay with it. So there's been a change in the mood from last year. So we're not taking their wishes into consideration. We have discussed it with them.
Okay. Kim?
I just would like to point out that a few years back, we had Michael Dwyer serving while he was a trustee on the Finance Committee. That's why it's in our code to begin with. So, again, those 2 existing members were part of that committee at that point, too. So it doesn't surprise me that they're okay with it. I just wanted to state that, to a little bit of history there.
Okay, Frank?
Yeah, I was just going to say, not just because it's me, but I think it's the right thing to do, especially with the Finance Committee. You know, I've always liked the gentleman on the committee. From the first time I've met him, I think they've always liked me. So I think we'll do really well together, and I look forward to it.
Good. All right, roll call.
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
Trustee Hafzenberger?
Aye.
Trustee Benetti?
Abstain.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Go on down the line.
Last one. This one I probably didn't have to pull, but I did. So motion to approve 5H, motion to advise and consent to the village president's appointment of Stephen Cox to the Finance Committee for a term to expire April 21st, 2028.
Do I have a second? second by Therese. Michael?
Standard question, have we talked to him, interviewed him? How did we vet?
Yeah, John Olson and I met with him last Thursday and had a long, long discussion. He's young, he's very enthusiastic, he's very excited to be part of the Village of Campton Hills. He is new in the area, and I think he'll be a great asset to our village. Yeah. and-
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think he's a U of I graduate, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I thought Purdue.
It's Purdue. It's
Yeah.
Purdue, according to
Oh, I
us.
see what you did there.
Yeah. All right, any other comments?
I just had a question. He has quite a bit of an IT background, and that was his first choice. Is there a reason why he ended up on finance versus IT? Just curious.
Well, his application that came in said he would like to serve on Finance Committee. So, yeah, I think it'll be good.
Okay.
Yeah. Kim?
So there's nothing that says that an individual, a resident they can serve on 2 committees, just saying.
All right, everybody ready to vote? Roll call?
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
Trustee Hassenberger?
Aye.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Millet?
Boiler up, I'm sorry, hi.
Okay.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, do I have the right agenda? We're on action. All right. Yeah, I apologize. I do have somehow, the agendas change daily, and even more than daily. And so, all right, we're on action items. A, motion to approve ordinance 26-28, approving the Affordable Housing Plan Update 2026 for the Village of Campton Hills. The reason this is on the agenda is that I would like to remove south of Beath Road, which was the headwaters of Blackberry Creek, which is a Campton Township open space parcel that should not be on the Affordable Housing Plan. And then the Bull Run Horse Farm, which is east of Anderson Road, Campton Township has open space by the Bull Run Horse Farm. So I would like those 2 parcels removed. That shouldn't have been on there in the first place. So do I have a, yep,
Motion to amend?
Motion. Motion to
I
amend?
think Nick had another question.
No, I can make the motion to amend, though. I made those suggestions as an alternative to having the affordable housing location in kind of what we'd call downtown Campton Hills. And looking through the map, scouring the map, I felt like having the affordable housing on the outskirts of town as you kind of fade in from other urban areas would kind of dilute the effects as you get into Campton Hills. So I would make the motion to amend. That's completely fine. It was slightly arbitrary outside of it fits some criteria I was looking for. But I would still like to keep the downtown Campton Hills area also off of the affordable housing. What I'm calling downtown is here on the corner of 64 and Burlington. We had
By
that.
the roundabout?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so actually, Nick, if you'd make a motion to amend the affordable,
So it would be to approve the affordable housing as amended and just state the amendments of what you're removing from what's in the packet.
so 3 things are getting removed.
So we just want to add the,
So I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance 26-28, approving the affordable housing plan update for 2026 with the following amendments: removing the location by Anderson and Beath Roads as ideal location for affordable housing, and
I would state that it's the Campton Township open space, the
Okay.
headwaters of.
the Campton Township open space
Yes.
that's notated on the map with the red
Exactly.
square.
Exactly.
And also the parcel by the roundabout on Burlington Road.
And the horse farm to the property
That's also, I
behind
think,
Bull
in that
Run.
red square, but also the property on Anderson Bull Run
Okay.
Farm. Yeah.
It's
Yeah, the
inside
pro-
the square. It's
Inside the red square.
Okay, the property by the roundabout is Actually, the Linkaitis property, Mrs. Linkaitis spoke to us today. So do you want to call it the Linkaitis property? or- Mhm.
Yes.
It's more, it designates
Sure,
it.
that's more descriptive.
It
The
is.
Lankitis property by the roundabout.
Okay,
That was
perfect.
previously. We'd
So-
like to remove that.
So-
But otherwise, motion to approve as
Okay,
amended.
do I have a second? Second by Therese? What?
And just so Tracy can get it down for
Mhm.
the minutes, it would be on page, oh, he doesn't have a page number. So on the.
Exhibit.
Well, looking into the language of the actual plan, so you're going to be removing that first paragraph that says area is currently zoned F farming. And then you're also removing the paragraphs just above it, in and near the existing commercial mixed-use center of the village.
Mhm.
But the remainder will stay. I just want to make sure that's correct. I just want to make sure the rest is correct. Okay, because Jim Brown will be listening to this, hope to publish the final copy
I
that he
can
sends.
talk to him about it, too.
And send it to Springfield.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay. Roll call?
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Hafzenberger?
Aye.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Action item B, motion to approve resolution 26-25, accepting a proposal from HR Green for Village Engineering Services. I'd also like to add to that resolution that we would like to keep Terry Heitkamp from Trotter Engineering for more of our local permitting and his inspections. And so the HR Green would be specifically more for the Shodine development, and then Terry Heitkamp from Trotter would do the reviews for our,
Stormwater you're talking, right?
well, stormwater and permitting,
Mhm.
yeah, to check our permitting. So, go ahead, Nick.
Just a quick question. So is there a whole separate agreement then with Trotter? Or are
Did
we just renewing it?
sign
What
the
is the addition?
Yeah, Trotter is currently doing our local, new garages, basements, whatever. So I can talk to Trotter and get an agreement. Yeah. Okay.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Trustee Burson would like to be recognized.
Go ahead, Janet.
I'm a little confused. I'm not aware that Trotter has done permitting for garages or anything like that. Trotter's been involved in stormwater engineering for us, correct?
I didn't hear what she said.
Stormwater is what
Mhm.
historically Trotter did, is stormwater reviews.
Also our permitting reviews. Mhm.
For stormwater.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, this agreement just
Mhm.
speaks to the engineering services and
Well, I have building.
Yeah, I'm just not aware that they've had
reviews.
any involvement in permitting other than stormwater. I'm not sure that they're qualified to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I think she's correct. It's stormwater only, Barb, that Trotter does.
Well, no, I think it was building reviews as well, but all right, we'll separate it for stormwater. Yeah.
enough to do building reviews?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Trotter just has a stormwater on those.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Kim.
Not if you look at the warrants and the invoices over 2,000. Trotter's on there for some final driveways and
Thank you.
something else.
Sometimes that's related to stormwater because you're looking at impervious area on the lot.
Mhm.
But if we recall, prior to the current board, there was an RFQ for Village Engineering Services.
Mhm.
I thought at that time that Trotter removed themselves as the stormwater inspection engineers.
No, they're still with stormwater, but I did have a talk with them because they were our inspectors for
They did.
building
They did
and,
remove. You're right.
for electric, whatever. And so with HR Green, it would be more specifically for the new development once it gets started. And
Did
yeah.
we make a motion yet?
All right,
Okay.
let Scott talk. first.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would ask, if we're discussing about stormwater permitting and such, I would ask for a clarification as the scope of work that's between the two different engineering firms. This past year, we took care of the NPDES stormwater permitting, brought you back into compliance and such. Just want to make sure that you're clear as to what scope of work is going with which firm in regards to that.
Yeah.
I think it's just, I think you're wanting to get Trotter for the local stormwater
yeah,
permits and
definitely.
stormwater for small, not changing the designation of HR Green for the representation.
Okay,
Yeah.
may I make a motion?
Yes.
First of all, I would make a motion that, we, based on satisfactory existing relationship, et cetera, that we authorize signatures, for the village engineering services for HR Green. So let me make that motion first, and then I'll discuss.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, there's nothing in here that says that we are giving them, HR Green, anything, 'cause I'm looking at the general consultation services on page 2 of 9.
It's not there.
It doesn't say that we're giving them the stuff that we're talking about with Trotter, so I think we're fine. It does talk
Okay.
about keeping the MPDS Phase 2
Yep.
permitting, because that makes sense.
Yeah, your mic went off.
Sorry, it makes sense to keep the MPDS, non-point discharge elimination system Phase 2 permitting the same, because that's helpful with IEPA. And then drainage studies as we require them, whether it's for this development or some other development. So I don't think you have to make any either or here, because what we're asking about on the agenda for tonight, I think we can approve. And then if we want to have a second agreement from Trotter more specific to formalizing reviews
do
on
that.
floodplain and small developments, we could do that.
Later.
Okay, yeah. All right, any other discussion? Okay, roll call.
Trustee Muir? I'm sorry, trustee Millet?
Aye.
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Hasselberg?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Motion to approve ordinance 2627, approving a final plat of subdivision for the LaFox of Campton Hills PUD.
So moved.
Moved by Kim, second by Frank. Discussion?
I can take this one. So this does indicate final plat of subdivision. That's just because that's what the village code designation for anything after a preliminary plat is called. And as I did mention, I believe at the public hearing, the TIF public hearing, but certainly at we had a plan commission on this a week or so ago. This is an intermediate plat, so we had a preliminary plat of PUD, which will be fairly closely reflected in the final plat of subdivision that would be approved at a later time. So at this point, this is essentially just taking the parcels that are currently owned by North First and under contract through Shodine, and subdividing them into smaller tracts, in some cases actually consolidating some of them. This is a statutorily required step as part of the TIF process. So it provides no development approvals. Shodine nor the current property owner can proceed to permit on this plat of subdivision. It's just an intermediate step. So it's before you tonight, and it's something that has to be completed prior to the TIF designation being approved, if it is approved by the board in the future.
And it was unanimous last week at the
Right.
planning and zoning.
Correct.
Okay. Any other discussion?
No,
Frank?
I'm glad you clarified that, because I was wondering how it was the final plat. So.
Yeah, we had a lot of discussions with that with the village engineer as well, because the final plat, the only way that an engineer can look at a plat that's after preliminary is as a final plat. That's what our village code says, that's what the Plat Act says. So we have to use that designation, but it is not quote-unquote a final plat.
And the engineer, quite realistically and correctly, did make note of that, and that's why he had some comments, but it was unanimous at the PZC.
Okay, roll call.
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Hefzenberger?
Aye.
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. D, motion to approve Resolution 2624, accepting a proposal from Civic Plus for website design and maintenance services. I need a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Mike. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Kim. Okay, discussion. Kim?
Okay, I was trying to look at this. I know that's a statement of work that's on here that would be signed if we approve this tonight. Then it goes into there. I'm wondering if we know what the term is for this contract. It said something about auto-renewing every year. And it has some outs in it. I'm a little concerned, because we used to have Civic Plus before as our website, and it was, so I was trying to see some of their templates prior to this, but I just want to bring up that I want to make sure that we're not getting in, it doesn't look like we're getting into anything, but we got to remember it auto-renews. It's like something you use your credit card for Netflix, and you all of a sudden don't watch Netflix anymore. Okay, which everybody watches Netflix probably. You don't? Okay.
Anybody else? Therese?
Would it make sense for us to just table this until the next meeting, given that we're doing budget discussions, and see, I don't know. Is
We
this
did,
something that
we did put it in the base budget as a cost.
Okay.
And it didn't have to be Civic Plus, it just, the website, we do absolutely have a need because of our situation with our current standing. We have to do something, right?
Yeah, we are up against the timeline.
Yes.
So what I'd actually like to do is give a certain Claude Code AI a chance to build something that the village would actually want as their content management service, and think outside the box instead of buying templates from people. But,
Do you want to defer this till next
no, because
Wednesday,
we
or-
do,
Yes,
I
we
think
are.
for the website.
For the
yeah.
website, it
Yeah.
crashes on.
Is it mandatory that it has to be an auto renewal? That's not negotiable with them?
Well, if it's auto renewal, if we've got an out clause that we can decline to renew.
Then we've got to
Tracy's
remember
been
to
working with them.
diary that.
Yeah,
Do you
we just
wanna
have to
comment?
remember to do it, yeah.
Trace?
Yeah, no one asked me to ask that question, so I don't know if it has to be in there or not.
Okay.
But with 60 days' notice, it is the out.
Can you give us the terms financially so we know, and your research about how it falls in line with other servers, so the public knows, and for the budget discussion?
Yeah, all the website developers are pretty much within the same price range, and given that we're up against the clock here, and the IT committee was working with Civic Plus, and we had demonstrations and everything by them already, so
Yeah.
they were going to be the chosen vendor.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, go ahead.
To that point about the auto renewal, we've had this conversation on and off about what we can bind future boards to, et cetera. And
Yeah.
there are some things that are nebulous, in that, you can't sign a 10-year contract, yet villages sign 10-year contracts. And there's some logic and reason on how that always gets made, addressed, or something like that. I'm not familiar with anything that's an auto renewal of a contract per se, other than on some of this type of maintenance sort of things. And then in my employer, the dollar value is too small, so it's not anything that actually requires board approval, so, we deal with budget. So what is there any guidance on that?
Right, I mean, it's a one-year term, so the term is going to start at the date of execution, the final, so the date the last party executes. It's a one-year term, and you just, like Trustee Huffensberger said, you should, if staff is not satisfied with the services, but there's no breach by the vendor, you cancel it or terminate it prior to the 60-day notice, and it would not automatically renew.
And it's an item in your budget, so hopefully we'll budget hearings in late March and 1st of April, so you won't be up against it next year. So you'll have the chance in the budget to tell us if you want to change vendors, or to do this alternative, way out of the box thinking that you just mentioned, Trustee Muir.
Okay, Frank?
Is there any way we could just ask them? I mean, they're an IT company, if they could program something in that at 60 days to say, hey, your contract's gonna auto-renew in 60 days, so make a decision.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's a good
I
suggestion.
get that with
Mhm.
certain ones that
Mhm.
that have auto renewals, I'll get a
Yeah,
notification.
that's good.
Once the time frame hits that says, hey, it's gonna auto renew on such and such date, so maybe we could ask them if they could do that.
Okay, Tracy's writing it down.
And Outlook calendars work too.
There you go.
Just one quick.
Okay, Trace?
Is there an option to do a trial? And then, is that not something that would work? I mean, I've heard, I thought I've heard that we weren't thrilled with this service the last time. Is that correct? I wasn't here. I don't know. Is this our only option, though?
We could do the one-year term and just see.
And so it's a minimum of 1 year then?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Just putting it out there if we don't know what we're getting into.
I have a comment.
Trustee Burson would like to
Sure,
be recognized.
go ahead, Janet.
I really don't think that Civic was a good choice for this. I understand where we're at and that we have to make a decision because the other site is going to go up in smoke. But we should have investigated multiple options and we didn't. So I'm not going to vote no, given the 9 remaining days that we have with our current provider. But I don't think we were happy with it before. I spent my own time speaking with these people at prior conferences. I'm not impressed by the offering, and I just don't think that the value is there for this money. Or maybe the other way of putting it is, I think you can get this functionality for significantly less money. And the notion that they have any kind of, secret sauce for municipalities doesn't hold water when none of the things that they do that are specific to municipalities really apply to us. Because they'll allow you to do things like handle water billing and pay your property taxes and that sort of stuff through their portal. So we don't have any of that, and we could have gone to any number of different vendors to get quotes for this to confirm that this price is a little excessive. But we are where we are. I just wish we had done it differently.
Yeah, thank you, Janet. Oh, Trace, what's our deadline for our website now?
May 15th.
May 15.
We can extend her for $200 a month for 3 months for 2 hours a month.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
All right, any other discussion? Nick?
I'll throw it out here, and by the time I realized this was going on, it felt pretty finalized, and I know, Tracy, you had some meetings and felt really good about this. But there's a web design company right across the parking lot. So right here locally in Campton Hills, they're called Rival Mind.
Yeah.
And if we were to, I've met those guys before, and I think that they've got a really well-run office over there. I don't use them, I'm not a client, but I have been in there before. I mean, and if we have till May 15th, they may be able to come up with something competitive, at least for us to compare. To
They
walk
do.
across the parking lot, I could go talk to them.
That'd be great.
Tracy, we could walk over together, whoever.
They design websites as well?
That's all they do.
Is that,
Yeah.
okay, I thought they did like interviews and,
No, it's a
For-
web design company, they
Okay.
host, I think they do everything that,
All
I
right.
mean, you'd have to walk it across the parking lot and see what they have to say, but they're local, they're in town.
oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
All right,
Do you want to amend the
Anybody
motion
else?
to approve to delay 1 week to see what kind of result we could get? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and I'm happy to take this over there and see what they could come up with for us.
Do you really want to approve it or not?
They can get it done quickly
No,
within
no,
a
no.
week.
Oh, delay to the next meeting.
Delay to the next meeting. He's asking,
Oh, they're all over. This
so
just happens
you
to
just
be in town.
need a motion to defer this 1 week.
Just table.
Table it for to the next meeting,
the April 20,
9th.
April 29th meeting. Mhm.
And report back and make a
Mhm.
decision that night.
Okay.
Do we have to vote the motion that's on the table down?
Well, you can either, whoever made the motion
Table
and whoever
supersedes.
seconded it, you can withdraw that, or you
Withdraw
can
it.
make a motion to table it. It's up to
Yeah.
you. Right.
If you make a motion to table and get a second, it would supersede and do it.
Right.
You want to withdraw your motions? Motion to
Or just
table?
Motion to table.
Mhm. Okay. All right.
Second, whoever.
Mhm.
So then you do a roll call.
Okay. Roll call.
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
Just because she seconded the
That's
first
o-
time.
that's
Okay.
good, that's good.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Hessenberger?
Aye.
Good. Motion passed. Thanks, Nick. That's a good idea. Mhm. All right, discussion items, redevelopment agreement with Shodine.
I can take this.
All right,
Okay.
Carmen, you've got it.
I can actually discuss this in line with the remainder of the discussion items, because they're all on the same subject. What you have in the packet this evening are the 3 draft ordinances that would be considered by the board on creation of the LaFox Road redevelopment project area, which is in common parlance a TIP district. These are the same ordinances, same exact drafts that were in the packet for the public hearing. And then they're updated from what was at the JRB meeting, just to include some dates in the tables of the certain tasks and meetings that have been concluded, but all the other language is the same. So that the 3 ordinances designate the redevelop, or approve the redevelopment plan and project, which is the plan for why you're creating this redevelopment project area, or TIP district. It's, all of the language in the ordinances are pulled directly from statute. There's not much room for interpretation here. You'll see there's a lot of repetition of the description of the project areas, the maps, the legal descriptions, and a recitation of all the notices and publications and mailings that have been sent out, the hearings that have been performed up into this date. The second ordinance is to designate the area, so the boundaries of the district. And the final ordinance is to adopt what's called tax increment allocation financing, so the means in which increment is deposited, collected from the taxing bodies, as part of the property tax process, deposited into the fund, the tax increment fund, and then the means in which it can be used to support the activities performed inside of the TIF district and in support of it. So again, all of the language in here is very statutory in nature. But we wanted you to have another copy of it before they appear on the village board meeting agenda for approval in the future. The timeline for these, since the public hearing concluded in early April, you have no less than 14 days, no greater than 90 days from the date of that hearing. Tonight is actually 14 days from the date of that hearing, so the clock begins now, and then 90 days from that hearing, so that would be, 76 days from today, is the end date for which these ordinances can be approved. In conjunction with these ordinances, so all of the statutory steps now, other than the approval of these ordinances, have been taken care of. But in conjunction with these ordinances and the purpose of creating this redevelopment project area, we have been negotiating a redevelopment agreement with the developer for some time now. The purpose of a redevelopment agreement is to, in addition to having all of the statutorily required language and things that you're going to see in any agreement, it talks about the flow of funds. It talks about the development budget, the amount that the developer is seeking to have reimbursed from the TIF fund, the amounts that are flowing out of the fund to other taxing districts that have entered into agreements with the developer, agreements that you've already approved, the school district agreement, the Blackberry Township agreement, which is actually a donation agreement, and other taxing districts as well. So there are statutory calculations that will be included in the redevelopment agreement that you will see, a flow of funds. So where does the money come out first, and then second, and then third, and fourth, and fifth, and so on, in every tax year, in every year that monies are deposited into the fund. It will also include a number of provisions about assignment, termination, default, just like you saw in the annexation agreement, but more particular to the TIF district in general, and the flow of funds in and out of the special TIF fund. We still have some negotiation that is underway with the developer. We've been meeting very regularly, as you know. And when we do have a draft development agreement, redevelopment agreement for you to review, we will provide it. We've been also working closely with the village's TIF consultant from SB Friedman on a lot of the different negotiations and some of the statutory language that we've been working through, and with Mr. Pat Zelton and his counsel as well. So if anyone has any questions about the ordinances that are in the packet, or the redevelopment agreement or RDA process, let me know. Otherwise, I'm available outside the meeting as well.
And just to put it on the record, you can approve the 3 TIF ordinances before you approve the RDA. If the RDA is never approved by you, the TIF will dissolve. Yeah, so you could move from discussion of these TIF ordinances, because they are statutory and very rote as Attorney Forte said, you could move to take action on approving them on the 5th of May or a later date, but they're not going to really change or modify. So it's establishing the TIF, which does give confidence that we are moving forward in this long, arduous saga that we're on, so that we give the developer some confidence that we are supportive of creating the TIF. So it doesn't need to wait for the RDA is what I'm recommending. So if I would like to see if we have a consensus to move it to action on 5/5. Is there a
consensus? Okay, all right. Okay,
Yes.
Michael,
And
go ahead.
Trustee Burson said yes as well.
Okay,
My question is, how far along are we on the RDA?
I'd say we're quite far. We've been working on it for a bit of time now. We're, kind of into the weeds on a few issues, but a lot of the language is complete. So, and Administrator Rooney is correct. I mean, the RDA, the way that it's been drafted, it assumes that the ordinances have been approved. Now, whether that is at the same meeting where you have the ordinance approved and the RDA right after, or at subsequent meetings or many meetings after, it doesn't matter. But the village has considered the creation of this TIF district around this particular development proposal. So, it would follow that you would approve the ordinances approving the TIF, and then at the same time or shortly after approve the RDA.
That my last point, I think, is that I don't think Chodine has any concern we're not serious. I don't want to start the clock too early. So if you're going to tell me, yeah, we're still going to be negotiating this for 2 months, then I would say, no, let's hold off and you give it a little more time. But if you're telling me that, yeah, we're going to have these on the 5th, and then, we'll follow it with the RDA on the 19th, then, okay.
So,
Well, we
so the
can-
clock has started, so
I know, we got the
yeah,
second,
the conclusion.
shot clock, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's
We're
no
back on 'em.
timeline.
We're
Yeah,
back on 'em.
right, so the shot clock started at the
I'm
close of
sorry,
that
no,
public
let me
hearing.
mistake.
Yeah.
I don't want to implement the TIF too soon.
Oh,
The clock on the TIF will start running for 2, 3 more, 4 months before we have the RDA. That's what I'm saying.
Based on tax year, though, so I mean, the TIF will begin at, January 1 next year, so.
So it's already established.
We have time, but you're correct. I mean, it makes sense.
And quite honestly, the fact that the decision was by the developer and negotiations with Mill Creek Sanitary, and they moved to do the Grand Prairie as a decision, kind of is an integral part of the redevelopment budget and negotiations, and that now has been made and effective, so it's proceeding faster now again. Fast is a loosely defined term, though.
All right, any comments, any more discussion?
If you're gonna stand up the WRD, that timeframe probably becomes part of the discussion of the RDA.
It does,
Yeah.
because there's budgetary impacts and,
Okay, anything else?
all right, so we'll move it for action on the 5-5.
Okay. Now, we just have additional items from the president, trustees, or attorney. Hearing none? Anybody? Okay, motion to adjourn.
And we're setting the date on 29,
Yeah.
April
we talked
29th at
April
7 or 6:30?
Was that the original date?
I think 6:30 works.
Yes.
We all agreed to?
What's that?
I don't think we had a real solid agreement. Yeah.
I'm gonna be at the, whatever the IML, what is it called?
Lobby
There's-
day.
Yeah.
Lobby
the
day.
Thing on that day,
Oh,
so.
Springfield?
Lobby day. I'll be at Lobby Day in Springfield.
Are you back on the 30th? I don't like to push it to the last day.
No, but if that does qualify, since I'm there on, yeah.
You
it
can
should
do it
qualify.
by phone.
I could phone in from down there.
Oh, on the
There's a
29th.
reception at 6, but I will, so 7 would be better for me?
I agree.
Yeah, it's.
7 or 7:30?
7:30 would be even better.
7:30. I hear 7, I hear 7:30.
7:30 would work for me better.
I'm good with 7:30.
Janet, are you back on that day?
I am not. I'm good with 7:30.
Janet likes 7:30 too. She agrees.
Yeah, 7:30 is better, because I'll be at the North American Snow Conference for APWA, and I will be driving back. I might actually physically be back here by then.
Okay. We'll have
depending
you on the,
7:30?
Cleveland to here.
so we'll, 7:30.
Okay.
I hear everybody agreeing to 7:30 on the
Okay.
29th, Wednesday night.
Okay.
All right. All right.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Frank, second by Treese. All in favor, say aye.